So let's move on to our next most common question. I want an adult use license. Do I need a medical license first?
Yes, for most licenses except for two.
It's not. There's exceptions. So
Sure.
so in most cases the answer is yes. Let's start with some exceptions first. There's two licenses specifically designed for Michigan residents that you can directly apply for. The first is the Class A adult use license, grower license. That's the 100 plant count license. The second is a micro business. That's the 150 plant count grow and retail all in one location with processing as well if you want to do it. Those two licenses are specifically for Michigan residents. You do not need a previous MMFLA license to pursue them. We also have the special licenses. The excise grower is kind of the exception. You by definition need other licenses for that, but the temporary events, the event organizer license, and the designated consumption licenses, you can be applied for directly as well without previous medical licensing. However, all the rest in the adult use system do need licenses. Which ones are those?
Well, and did you mention that testing labs on the adult use side don't need that either?
I did not.
Okay, so yeah, so that's one of them. So it's Class A micro business, 100 plants, micro business that doesn't need it, as well as to test for adult use, you don't need to have one on the medical side. But for every other license,
so Class B, Class C, secure transportation, marijuana retailers, all of those adult use license types would require you to have at least one medical marijuana license. And that is again for the first 2 years of the adult use program. So after 2021, November 2021 I believe, or December
2020, yeah, something like that.
It's 2019 to 2021. So eventually these licenses will be open. The licenses that are just for Michigan residents will be open to non-Michigan residents. The licenses that require you to have a medical license first will be available to companies without medical licenses.
Yeah, and I think here's the key, bringing it back into the gray area, is that, or at least to clarify for everyone, if I'm an individual that owns a company that has a medical license, that same company with that same ownership needs to be the one that applies for adult use. So I can't create a new company and say, oh, I'm applying for a retailer. It needs to be that same company that has a medical provisioning center license or a grow license or processor license that I then put through the adult use system and then apply for that license. So there's a difference between myself owning a company that's applying versus myself creating a different company. It has to match on both sides.
Very common mistake. If Nick is a supplemental applicant on a medical project and Nick wants to seek an adult use license, but he's doing that in a different corporate vehicle than he did with his medical license, too bad. Nick is a supplemental applicant. The applicant is the company.